Hey, welcome back. This just in from the team at Demko Knives. Very excited to see this. They just brought out a new version of a model I actually really like carrying, the Demko Shark Cub. And they had, let me just get my personal info off of here really quickly. Sorry, get this off to the side. I think we're good to go now. They had made a really cool version of the Shark Cub, which I also have here, so we'll bring that out. Love the sticker. But it was a bit on the pricey side, and when I reviewed it, I thought what would be really cool, since they started with like a 20 CV version and premium handles and premium steels, if they did like a lower end version, and they've just announced that this is coming out. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get this freaking thing out of here. These are hard to open, crazy. But I was excited to see it. So they brought out a more, I don't want to call it layman, but a more affordable or budget version of the Demko Shark Cub. So that's really exciting to see. Let's get into it. Let's see what we got here. So we got one here with the, you can tell right away that that has the slicer shark blade, and then this one over here has their clip point blade. And let's see what we got. So these are the new Grivory scales. What's pretty cool here is the shape of them actually feels quite different than the prior scales, probably because they have liners in them, but let's see what we got. Okay. Oh wow, that feels really good actually. One of the problems when you go to like a Grivory or an FRN scale is sometimes it doesn't feel great in the hand, but they've actually reshaped this, I think, in order to make it feel better, given that it's a different material. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if I've really seen that done too well before by other companies. So that looks really nice there. And then let's get a nice close up here. And these are an AUS10A. So before they were doing 20 CV, I don't know if they've done another blade steel on these. I think it was 20 CV, maybe something else on the Shark Cub. But this is a Grivory with an AUS10A. If you're familiar with the AUS10A, it's what I was actually using to open. It's like my favorite for just like my hard use package opening knife. A really good blade steel, just like for a budget blade steel, it actually is really, really good. I've just had very good luck with it personally. Man, they always put a great edge on their knives. So these are made in Taiwan, this Shark Cub version here. A lot of their knives are made in the USA, definitely a US-based brand. Wow, this feels really light too. So let's get some measurements on this, and then we can compare it really side by side right away here to the G10 version with the 20 CV. The thing I noticed right away is the difference in where they chamfer and how they chamfer the scale. So this one feels a lot flatter. It feels good in hand, but definitely flatter. Been using this guy a little bit here. And then this one over here feels a bit rounder. So it's kind of, yeah, you can really see the scales being rounder there, which is cool. So it feels a bit rounder in the hand. It actually feels really nice in hand for a smaller knife, but it also feels very light. So let's get it weighed in really quickly here and see how it compares to the G10. All right, so there is the new AUS10 version 2.9. Actually, it might be a little heavier. I could be wrong. So it is actually slightly heavier. It's interesting. It feels a little lighter, maybe just because of the feel, like the fact that the handle feels big, but it's still light. It makes the knife overall just feel a little lighter. This one right here, the balance is just a little different. It's a little flatter feeling. Yeah, really interesting actually. You do have the bigger pivots on these premium versions. So something like this goes for 190 with the G10 and the 20 CV. It looks like a slightly more aggressive stonewash, or maybe the result of the stonewash comes out slightly more aggressively just because of the steel or something, but it might be a similar process. Jimping looks very similar. Sometimes the Demko jimping will vary a little bit from model to model. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really nice entry point. So most importantly, starting price $89.99. And when I unboxed this one, I was like, wow, this is really great. But for $190, not everyone is able to get into this knife at $190, especially for what it is, which is just kind of like a lightweight carry knife. Now, the one thing I'll say about these Shark Cubs is that these are much thinner than the 20.5, and so like the spring rate is about the same. So you do get a little more pressure on your finger per square inch. So it's a little less comfortable on the Shark Lock. The Shark Lock has, in my experience so far, a little bit of a diminishing rate of return. But look at the weight difference, right? There's a titanium 80-20.5. You're talking 4.2 ounces. Here's my Timascus one. Pretty cool one, by the way. Really neat with the clip point there. 4.33 ounces. And then when you get into the full size 80-20, there's some stuff on the way between 4.5 and 7 ounces for the 80-20S. But look at that, 7.6 ounces on the big boy there. So he is definitely not to be trifled with. Made in USA on this guy as well. But I think that they've really potentially opened up themselves to another market here that they probably were not tapping into before. You lose some of the aesthetics of the bigger, you know, it's pretty nice having the bigger hardware on this one, but you know, overall you do get a lot of the benefits of this knife with you know, less than half the cost. So I guess, you know, yeah, less than half the cost. $89.99. This is a very, very compelling knife that I am just excited to see in the market. You know, from here, maybe there will be scales you could upgrade here and like get into this one for, you know, the $90, and then you get into some scales for $50 or $70 or whatever, and you've customized it and, you know, maybe put some Thai aftermarket scales or something. Maybe that gets a little more expensive, but, you know, it just sort of starts you into the knife at a little bit of a lower price. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on, you know, optional scales and stuff for this particular model. That scale is going to have to be different, of course, than one that would fit this knife because the hardware is different here. So you're going to have a different scale to accommodate that. But yeah, interesting. I was wondering when I got this if there was going to be a liner. It does not have a liner, so it is still a nice slab, which is the case for the G10 as well. I'm trying to see if maybe it has like a slightly sharper edge on the inside. No, it's pretty similar. One other thing to note, which I did not catch at first, is that it has a little bit of a different configuration up here. So this one has more pins on the liner. That I did not catch at first. Maybe you did, just being over there and not having to run a YouTube video. But that is very interesting. And I think some people might actually prefer that. I'm not sure what the technical differences would be not having the additional standoffs or, you know, hardware along the way there, but that's very interesting. I wonder what they're doing. It must be something on the inside. Like, I wonder if this liner is somehow embedded into the scale or something like that. So I might do a second video where I really open this up and see what the differences are technically, given the difference in hardware there. So that's an interesting difference. The Shark Lock and everything looks like it's the same, probably the same metal and whatnot. The jimping looks similar. The blade shape looks similar. Just got a different blade steel there. Pocket clips look exactly the same, which makes a lot of sense. You wouldn't want to probably run a whole bunch of different. I guess I could double check and just see if one of them's, this one's definitely steel. Is this one? I don't think this is titanium. I'm pretty sure it's steel. So steel. Yep, steel on all your hardware here. So not huge differences there. And then is there a difference in weight on this clip point? It's a little heavier because it doesn't have a hole in it. It has a thumb stud. So instead of having a hole in the blade, you got a thumb stud. You're going to have a little bit more there. This one is a little tighter. They tend to work themselves in, I find, or maybe you can adjust the pivot a little bit, but you saw I failed that deployment a few times. This one's a little looser, just out of box, but still has perfect lockup, which you love to see, especially, you know, you think about like similar competing bar locks and stuff. Sometimes, you know, you end up with one without perfect lockup. So yeah, interesting. Size-wise and stuff, I'm not going to even measure it because you got the same size knife overall here as you always have, as far as I could tell, at least. It looks like it's the same. So I don't suspect that will be any different. But yeah, interesting to see that there's some slight weight differences, and I am, again, just enthusiastic that this additional model is available. Now, one of my favorite models or blade shapes that Demko offers is the shark foot, and I don't believe that will be available in these. It is available in the G10, the titanium, the Ultim, and the aluminum options that they have. I only have the G10 at this point, but I would like a titanium actually. But it's worth noting, by the way, you'll also notice that all of the 80-20.5s have hardware all along the back. So I'm imagining that part of the way that they've been able to get this price down under $100 might be the fact that they have less hardware that they have to put into the knife. Not that that costs, you know, I bought Demko hardware, they charge like $5, which means it probably costs them like $1 or $2. But, you know, everything's less work to put together and assemble, less cost. There's benefits to a simpler knife, so it's interesting to see. Anyway, only available in these two blade shapes, but you will be seeing these release here in early September, $89.99. Again, you've got an AUS10A blade and a Grivory handle there, and I think that they've really just nailed this Grivory. It's not like something I've seen before from Demko. It does have the peel ply style, which I've seen from Demko, but the, you know, just the overall feel of it and the roundness of it is actually quite a departure from everything that I've seen from Demko, which is always traditionally a bit flatter, except for my 80-22 Customs did have a rounder handle like that. So I'm curious if that inspired that a little bit, but really a nice feeling there. I'll throw it in the pocket here just to see what we think, see if I notice that roundness at all. One of the things I love about this knife is that it just kind of disappears in the pocket. It's so flat, it's so light. It's been one of my favorite knives to carry, so let me compare right there and see if I actually feel a difference. You know, maybe a tiny bit. I might have noticed a tiny bit of difference there with that contoured scale, and the you get like a bit of a smaller surface area that pushes up against your legs, so it's probably a little more pressure in a smaller area or something. But contour scales are always going to have, you know, a trade-off, feel better in hand, and then a little bit of a trade-off in the pocket. But I think for most people, they're going to be pretty pleased with this. So pretty pleased. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to John Demko, Matt Bando, and the team over at Demko Knives. They've grown it a little bit. They're putting out a lot of great knives, making more in the US now than they used to, and making those available in a lot of drops, which is cool. So you're seeing the secondary calm down on the Demko knives, which I think we all appreciate. And yeah, good job, guys. I think this is going to be a winner from what I can tell here. And yeah, hope you all enjoyed this. So if you did, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.